Support Pro Play Games on Patreon.
Hey card fighters, I'm Mike and I'm coming at you with another deck profile for this time Spiritualist Zorga. Now this is actually one of my favorite decks, so I've loved the new stuff from A Brush with Legends. I love the grade one that we got, the Headhunter. The new orders are amazing, and I feel like all those cards really take this deck to another level now and can be more competitive and even more funner. Like it's just finally, it feels fun to play now. With the other orders, it wasn't bad, but it just felt kind of clunky. A lot of times you would miss off the old order that you would have to like mill. It just takes the deck to another level, guys. Sorry to repeat myself, but I just can't specify enough how bad I thought that previous grade 3 order was. Alright, let's get started with the lineup. Same as last time, we play the same ones from 0 to 3, ending at Zorga. No need for further introduction there. And then we play, of course, 3 Zorga so that we can guarantee ourselves the Persona ride as much as possible. This lets us create those big numbers that Stokea was already kind of seeing, but that now we can hopefully see even more consistently with the same orders that we've been playing. Then I still like playing a playset of the Hendrina. I like the way that she takes away Soul Blast cost, but now with the new order we got, I like the way that she mills, and we get to have more stuff in the drop zone so that we can hopefully get to that count much higher and play the new order that I'm going to show you guys why the drop zone count matters a lot more now. And then 2 Black Tier Husk Dragons, still the same. I think I used to play 3 before, but I dropped it down a little bit. I still love the card. Gets 5k for free when you play an order, and it helps build the boards that we need to apply pressure. Alright, next we have a playset of the new grade 1 Rogue Headhunter. Guys, this is what we've been waiting for in this deck. If you play an order during your turn, he gets an additional 5k, so if you play an order, he'll be a 13k booster, which is amazing. It helps build those numbers up. But the second part is just as good, if not obviously better. We get, when it is played to the rearguard circle, you get to reduce the amount of counterblast you pay for a Alchemagic by 1. So let's say you're playing 2, you do Alchemagic and the cost is Counterblast in total, Counterblast 2 and Soul Blast 1. You would reduce the Counterblast cost by 1. Guys, it says it on the card, but I want to reiterate, you do not countercharge if you're going negative. But it does stack upon itself. So let's say you play 2 in 1 turn. The next time you would Alchemagic, the cost is reduced by 2. It is not a once per turn or anything like that. Just keep in mind, it is only for the turn that you play him on the rearguard circle. It doesn't matter where you play him from, whether it's from the drop or or from your hand. It is only for the turn that you play him, for that instance that you play him. So most for the turn. So don't let anybody get you that, oh, I have him on the field and he's been out the whole game and they reduced their counterblast by 1, because I feel like that's gonna happen, but don't let anybody get you with that. Alright, next we have, obviously, for the last amount of regular units in the deck, we have the PG. Same as last time from the last set, amazing PGs. If your hand is low enough, you get to play them for free. Helps you stop those crazy over triggers. It helps you guard to win, guard to stay alive, all that good stuff. Alright, now we're gonna get into the orders. I still like playing 4 of the old one, Grief, Despair, and Rejection, because this is for what gets you those big numbers. It lets, if you have Zorga on the field, you get 10k to 3 things. It doesn't have to be the front row. You can give it to the boosters if you want. Let's say you haven't really put anything out that you want to give it to yet. You can just give it to the boosters. It doesn't have to be to the front row. But yeah, still this is what helps you get those numbers, guys. So I still personally recommend it at 4. Then we have 3 of the new one, regurgitation from the underworld. Guys, this card's amazing. This is what I took out the old order I was playing for. I really love it. For the cost of counterblast and soul blasting 1, you get to choose a rear guard. It could be any rear guard, you or your opponent's. Retire it, and then you get to call to your rear guard circle a card of the same grade. And if you alchemagic, you get to call 2 instead. So if you find your opponent not playing rear guards so that you don't retire them, you can retire your own rear guard, and you could basically bring it back and bring back an additional unit of the same grade. It helps with the removal. Zorga always struggled because it didn't really have any removal. It didn't have any way to get rid of anything. So now we do, and it's amazing. The Soul Blast 1 cost is small. And like I said, let's say you alchemagic these 2. The cost would be a counterblast 1, a counterblast 1, and a soul blast 1. So 2 and a 1. The headhunter would remove that by as much as possible for the turn that you played him. And we also play 2 of the new one, Nectar of Sensationalism. This is the one I was talking about, because you choose one of your rear guards and it gets 5k for every 5 cards in your drop zone. So that's what I was talking about with the other grade 2 that I was mentioning, the Hendrina. That you want to mill cards sometimes. Sometimes you mill the overtrigger. It happens to me a lot, so it be that way sometimes. But this helps a lot, guys. This helps pump your numbers up, and the additional part is that it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to play it. It doesn't cost counterblast. It doesn't cost soul blast. It's a really nice way to pump your numbers up without having to waste resources in case you can't afford the resources right now. But the best part is at the end, where if you have 15 or more in the drop zone, it also gets an additional crit, which is amazing. That means you can hit for 2 guaranteed if it hits, and you can apply pressure. Obviously 15 or more is probably going to be a late game type of thing, but it's nice to know that you can give something a crit just for free. And then I also play 2 of the old one, Spiritual Body Condensation. It's really good. It's Soul Blast 1, and you get to bring something back, and it gains 5k. Keep in mind, guys, you have to choose a card that's equal to or less than the Vanguard. It doesn't mean that it has to be the same as the grade of the exact card or something like that. Just as long as it's equal to or less than the Vanguard. And it gains 5k. But also, one of the main reasons I also play it, because Zorga himself can bring back anything from the drop zone. But for Alchemagic, you have to have 2 orders of different names. So you want to have as many orders of different names as possible. Hence why I play so many different ones. And then the last order I play, even though it's a blitz order, I still play 2 Ghost Chase. I still like this card. I like that if I mill something off Hendrina or any other thing that goes to the drop zone, I get to play it back with Zorga or play it back with the Regurgitation, and I can Ghost Chase it back to my hand. So if I lost a Zorga in the mill, I can bring back Zorga with Zorga, or even with Regurgitation. And if I Ghost Chase, I could put him back into my hand for that Persona Ride next turn. Or you could bring back a PG, bring it to the rearguard circle and Ghost Chase it and put it back to your hand with the Ghost Chase. And then you have another PG. And even if it's the only card in your hand, you get to play it for free. So it's really awesome. Alright guys, that does it for the orders. I feel like this is a solid lineup. Feel free to change it up however you guys want. Some people don't like playing too much of the the Regurgitation. Some people play it at 2, some people play it at 1. I personally like 3. I like removal. I think especially with this format coming up, you're going to want to remove as many of your opponent's key pieces as possible. You want to remove for Keter, you want to get rid of their Dark Strain or their Aldens so that they can't hit you with high numbers. Bruce, you want to get rid of those Leonards. Those Leonards are a threat, man. Let me tell you. Those Leonards are a threat. So I just like the extra removal. And then we have the Overtrigger lineup. Obviously, we're going to play the Stokea Overtrigger. This card, just like last time, still amazing. It is like a Swiss Army knife. It has like 4 different effects, and I'll go through them real quick. When you check it in the drive check, The additional effect is you draw a card, you choose one of your units, and it gets a crit. Then all of your units get 10k, and if you have more damage than your opponent, you get to heal. So it does like 4 different things, plus the extra draw of already checking the over trigger. So you're basically drawing 2, possibly healing. Your whole front row gains 10k. You get a crit, and then obviously you get the 100 million. This thing does like 5 different things, guys. This is probably one of my favorite ones, and art-wise, it's probably my favorite personally. I just really like how it looks. Then we got 4 of the crit trigger Abyss Temptation and 4 of the starter deck for Stokea critical trigger. This lineup, I like crits, guys. You want to beat them as fast as possible. You want to hit for high numbers and high damage. You want to get rid of them as fast as possible. Zorga can play a decent long game, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're going to find yourself a lot of the times in your hand it's going to be orders, and unless it's Ghost Chase, they're not going to defend you, so you want to win as fast as possible. And then I still play 3 of the draw trigger. I know some people took this out for the front. I recommend that as well if that's what you want. I personally still like the draws because I want to see my orders. I want to see my units. You play a high order count, so if you don't draw well, you are going to find that sometimes you don't have units to play. And you know, you could have all the orders to do all the magic you want, but then you're not going to have units. And that's a loss because you can't attack with anything. You can't form those high boards. And I like drawing because you want to have a big hand. You want to have cards to discard for the ride line. I like discarding her for the ride line because she's only 5k. So you want to see your orders. You want to see your units. So if you want to take her out for the fronts, that's perfectly fine too. The fronts are really good, guys. That 20k shield if your opponent's at grade 3 really helps out. And it saves lives. But I personally like the draws. And then lastly, we got 4 of the heal triggers, the standard in every deck. This is one of my personal favorites, so I really went all out and tried to get the SP set. And no explanation needed for the heal triggers. Alright guys, that was Zorga. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This deck is going to be really fun, this format. It's going to feel like a whole new deck. It's going to play a lot differently, and it's going to be a lot of thinking, so I hope you guys like it. Take care.